Hello and welcome to Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. I'm Becky Parker Geist and I'm your host. Audiobook Connection is your place to learn about the audiobook creative process and for authors to learn valuable tips on producing and marketing your audiobooks. This podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to focus today on the number one top tip for marketing your audiobook. It's going to sound like a really simple thing, but we have been astounded at how many people have failed to take this one critical step. So let's dive in. The main thing, the most important thing you can do is to put a button on your website that actually directs your followers for your audiobook sales, directs them to your Amplify Audiobooks page. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Well, if you don't know how to do things on a website, then maybe it's a little more complicated because you have to ask somebody to do that for you. But it is so important. And here's why I specified that you have that button directing your customers to your Amplify Audiobooks page. Because if you put links, I've seen all kinds of things. So some people just don't put anything at all on their website about their audiobook. How are your followers going to even know? And many people will put one button and send people, it's a link direct to Audible. Some people will make a list of maybe the top 10 platforms where people can buy your audiobook. And maybe they do them alphabetically or by some other order that seems mysterious and unknown. But here's the thing. On your website, if you don't tell your listeners or your followers where to buy the audiobook, what is going to be your preference as to where they buy your audiobook, they're not going to know. And so they'll probably just choose whatever's at the top. Is the one that's at the top of your list actually the one that will give you the best results? What I'm seeing so far is that is not the case. Okay, so here's the thing. When you have a button on your website, or let me back up even further, when you are doing any kind of marketing at all, maybe you're posting on social media, maybe you have a business card that you hand out at events, maybe you're actually running a promotion and you're using your website there. All those places you're going to be putting your website out there, and for simplicity, you're most likely going to be putting the link to your homepage. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily always the best option because there are some SEO issues that can make it more advantageous for you to send people to a more specific page on your website. But if you are relying on a visual link, then most often you're going to use your website. And it's helpful from a memory perspective for people to be able to see your website and know what the name of it is if they maybe can't push that button or that hot link right in the moment. Since your website really should be the hub of your marketing, it's the one place where you have control over your content, unlike any social media platforms where it might seem like you have control, but it's very limited and it could disappear at any moment. So we don't really have control over those platforms. So that's why you want to have your website as your hub. That's your core. Everything that you point out to from your website is you can update links so it doesn't have to become obsolete. Whereas on a social media platform, you might not be able to edit an old post, for example. And so then you can end up with random bits of obsolete information out there. We don't want that. So coming back to this issue of why you want that button to point to your Amplify Audiobooks page, since you're going to use your website as your hub, and since when you're doing all your marketing, you're going to be out there pointing to your website, right? That's why you want on your website a button, and you want that button to be the place, the primary place where you want your customers to go get your book or your audiobook. If we're talking about your print book and you really want them to order it direct from you because you have a garage full of print books, then instead of sending them to Amazon for print on demand or Barnes & Noble for print on demand, you would want them to buy it in a way that is going to get you the result that you desire, right? Okay, so if you did an offset book, offset printing, you're likely going to want to have them order it directly from you, and you'll handle the fulfillment. Now, with your audiobook, wouldn't you much rather have your customers buy it in a place where you're going to earn about 5 times the amount for each sale? It comes down to about that equation. It's pretty close to that. The amount that Audible pays versus the amount that you can earn where you have control on Amplify Audiobooks. It's a huge difference, but it goes beyond that. When you have your book, your audiobook on Amplify Audiobooks, when somebody buys, you're going to know who that person is. You're going to have their email address because that's a part of the purchase process, and the opt-in is a part of the purchase process. Now, they're always going to have the option to opt out of any emails that you may be sending them as a result of that, but they're buying your audiobook because they're interested in you and your content. And if you're providing value, then they're going to want to stay with you, right? It's value that they're seeking. It's value that ideally you are providing and delivering. And if both of those match up, then they will want to stay with you in the journey. If when you have your website, if you are creating this list with the idea that, oh, well, I want people to be able to buy it wherever they want. Well, let's talk about that. If someone, an audiobook listener, that's our someone. If someone wants to get an audiobook and they are already a subscriber on a particular platform, they will automatically go to that platform to go find your audiobook because they are a subscriber and they probably have some kind of credit plan that they're going to utilize. If they are not a subscriber, they are likely to click the button where you tell them to go. And if you educate them just the tiniest bit, it can be a matter of a few words, like to best support the author, something along those lines. Buy it on Amplify Audiobooks. And then you provide that link. Then they're going to go there. You're going to win. They're going to win because they are having a greater impact by supporting you. So even though it seems like you're doing a great thing by providing all of these links, all you're really doing is creating clutter. They don't need anyone who's a regular audiobook subscriber somewhere does not need a direct link to your audiobook from your website. What they do need is they need to know where it will be best for them to buy. And they also might need a small message about also available on your favorite audiobook platforms. So that if they are a subscriber, they'll know, oh, I'll just go over there and I'll get it over there. And that's okay. The idea that one additional click is going to stop them, I don't think is true, because if they are a subscriber, then they probably have that bookmarked, or they are buying through the app, or it's a part of their process as an existing subscriber. So I really don't think you're doing any disservice by not including all of that additional clutter. And when you have all of those different links and somebody who's not a subscriber goes there, they have no idea unless you tell them which platform they should get it on. So now you send them off exploring different platforms. That's not really helpful to them. It's not helpful to you. What they're likely to do is then click on all of those links and see who's selling it at the lowest price, because they will vary. Is that helpful to them? It might save them a couple bucks. Is it helpful to you? No. Is it helpful to them in that you will have no idea who bought your audiobook, because you won't be able to reach out to them and support them with whatever it is, whether it's entertainment or information that they have been seeking. You will not know who they are if they buy it on some other platform. Let's take just a short pause. We're going to come back with a couple other tips about this button on your website. Would you like to earn more from your audiobook sales? If you're an author with an audiobook, you may have noticed that royalties from Audible especially, and other platforms as well, are frankly kinda pathetically low, disappointingly low, and unfairly low considering what it cost you in effort and resources to create it. How is it the retailers are the ones making all the money off your work and investment? As someone who started in the audiobook industry in 1981, I've found it frustrating that authors keep getting shortchanged. The good news is that Pro Audio Voices just launched Amplify Audiobooks, a direct sale audiobook platform for authors that puts you back in the driver's seat. Earn 65% of the gross sales price that you set. Compare that to the percentage of the percentage that retailers give. Run promotions on schedule whenever you want. Create coupon codes. Build community with your customers, since you'll know who they are and how to contact them. Work with a caring, responsive, supportive team to help you succeed all along the way. Get help with marketing. Get paid weekly. We're helping audiobook authors who are frustrated by painfully low royalties and the barriers that prevent them from managing their own products and customers. Amplify Audiobooks is a direct sale platform that enables authors to earn much higher royalties and have way more control. We're disrupting the audiobook industry by putting authors first. Get started today at proaudiovoices.app or go to proaudiovoices.com and click on the Distribution Amplify link. Join the movement. Okay, so when you're creating this button on your website, there's a few things you want to do. Each website, of course, is laid out slightly differently, so I can't say, well, put it on your books page or your about page or whatever, because every website's a little bit different. What you do want to do is use the visual. Typically, you want to have your cover image from your audiobook, the square one, most often. And then when you put the image on there, you want to use that image also as a link that image to your Amplify page as well. Because some people will just click on the image and assume that it will take them to the right spot. But you also want to have a button, because some people will be looking for the button. And then you want to have your message about also available on your favorite audiobook platform. Now, you probably also have a print and an ebook edition. You might have those all on the same page. That's totally fine. Here's what I will say, though, and recommend, and this is actually advice from top-notch website strategist Todd Walker, who works within our marketing program. He's on our marketing team. And so when you have the different buttons on your website, let's say you've got one for your audiobook, one for your ebook, and one for your print book. which one would you most like people to purchase? Which one is going to be the best for you? And you'll want to place that first on the page. And you'll also want that button color and size to be maybe a little brighter and a little bit bigger. And then you want to have the other formats that are the second option, whatever is going to be best for you next, you put that next. And the last one, you put that last. Typically, in terms of profit margin, that's probably going to be your audiobook first, your ebook second, your print book last. And what you're doing, you're still providing all of the information, all that they need in order to buy whichever format they prefer. And they will choose the format that they prefer. You don't have to worry about it. But when you provide that kind of visual guidance, when you recognize that when they arrive at your website, that first of all, you don't have very long to hold their attention initially, so you need to grab their attention quickly, and that they need guidance on the journey through your website. Some people already know they're ready to buy. They're just going to click buy and off they go. Some people are going to need more information. And it's helpful, if they're not ready to buy yet, that you give them at least one other option. Maybe it's to go learn more about the author, and that one links off to the About page. And on every page, you should have a clear call to action, a clear next step, and a clear but more subtle alternate step. So in other words, we're taking them on the journey. We have the main path that we would love for them to follow, and that path might always circle back to the buy page. We might always want to be ending there, that is the final step in the journey. Or maybe you have something else. Maybe you have a coaching program, and that might be different. But many times for someone who's just got a book to sell or an audiobook to sell, they're going to want their followers to mostly sign up for their email list and to buy their books or audiobooks. And so you have that main path, and then you also want to have at least one on each page, little side path if they're not ready. It's just about if they're not ready to go on the main path. So we're thinking about, well, what might they need? Maybe they need to read some testimonials or watch some video testimonials for people who have created those for you, shared those with you for your book or your audiobook. Maybe they're editorial reviews. They might need that. Some people might want to know more about what else you offer, other products and services. Some people, if you have a book series, for example, and they came to your website because they found out about the 5th book in the series, they might want to know about the 1st book. They might also want to know, should they start with the 1st book, or are they pretty much standalone and they can jump in at any point? These are the kinds of things that you can do to help your followers when they get to your website. Okay, so just quick recap. What's the most important thing? The top tip. It is to put a button to your Amplify Audiobooks page on your website. I know it sounds so basic, and I know that we're all so busy as authors. I get it. I totally get it. But if there's only one thing that you do next for your marketing, make sure that your audiobook link is on your website and that it is pointed to your Amplify Audiobooks page. If you have questions, please reach out to us. I love hearing from our listeners and being able to provide content. I also want you to know that we are on TikTok and providing a lot of content and value there. And that's at Amplify Audiobooks and also at Pro Audio Voices. And we're on other social media channels as well. And we do have a new Patreon account that we are in the process of setting up. So if you are inspired, if you feel like this content is helpful to you, it would mean a lot to us if you would support the Audiobook Connection podcast with your contributions. And we have some special bonuses for those of you who are able to chip in $5 a month. That's all it takes. Makes a huge difference for us. Thanks again for joining me today on the Audiobook Connection. Thanks for joining us for Audiobook Connection, behind the scenes with the creative teams. Please take a moment to subscribe at audiobookconnection.com. The podcast is sponsored by Pro Audio Voices, helping great stories come alive through audiobook production and marketing. Learn more at proaudiovoices.com. Again, thanks for being with us, and please join us next week.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.